So today, a tweet by President Trump drew some criticism online because of its misleading nature. The president tweeted this. Take a look. Just one lawsuit filed by the DNC and a bunch of Democrat crazies trying to claim the Trump campaign and others colluded with Russia. They haven't figured out that this was an excuse for them losing the election. So here's the thing. The president didn't win this lawsuit. The suit was dismissed. The suit claimed that computer hackers working for the Russian government hacked into the DNC's email as part of a deliberate plan to tilt the election in favor of Trump. So U.S. District Court Judge Ellen Huvel made the ruling on Tuesday. She said a suit trying to tie the Trump campaign to Russia is too weak to proceed in a D.C. court because the allegations took place in New York. Now, in her ruling, Huvel made it clear that her decision was only based on the issues of legal jurisdiction. Here's what she wrote. It bears emphasizing that this court's ruling is not based on a finding that there was no collusion between defendants and Russia during the 2016 presidential election. This is the wrong forum for the plaintiff's lawsuit. The court takes no position on the merits of plaintiff's claims. The court dismisses their suit without prejudice.